Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody to Effective Job Search Strategies. I'm really excited to be here with you today. For those of you that have joined me before, welcome back. For those of you that are new, welcome. So glad that you're joining us for the workshop here. I am Rachel White, the Talent Development Facilitator for the North area of Rural Capital Area Workforce Solutions. And if you want to see what other topics we have going on, you can always go to workforcesolutionsrca.com and look at our calendar there of events, and then register on workintexas.com for any other workshops that you're interested in. But today we're going to be talking about effective job search strategies, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this because it's really important to utilize different job search strategies in your job search. You know, just utilizing one strategy is not going to be enough, especially in this day and age, in order to make, a profound impact on your job search movement. So it's really important that you utilize that. And we're going to be talking about different types of job search, okay, and understanding those. We're going to learn how to determine your job target. We're going to learn the importance of networking in your job search, which is critical. Understand how labor market information is important in the job search process as well. Develop an effective job search plan, and also how to manage your time effectively according to how people find work, and just like organizing yourself. It's really important. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so there are two types of job search, really, okay? Reactive and proactive. And a lot of people utilize the reactive approach, which involves just applying to internet job board postings and waiting for that response from an employer. Okay, the problem is that you face a lot of competition doing that, and you have minimal control over what happens. And so what you need to do is take your job search into your hands and utilize a vast variety of different strategies that will help you make more of an impact and get you closer to finding that position. So you have to be more proactive in your job search, right? Which involves targeting companies that interest you in jobs that match your skills and qualifications. And that also includes personality and your interests and the values that you hold when it comes to what you're looking for in a job, right? You find appropriate ways to approach employers, i.e. networking online with employers as well. We're going to talk about how to connect with recruiters on LinkedIn and find out about job openings that may be available now or in the future. So you have to be more proactive and, like I said, utilize those different streams of job search strategies that are out there. And I think a lot of it is that people don't necessarily know what those are. So we're going to talk about them today, okay, and how you can utilize other things in your job search that you may not have already been doing. Okay, so, and this again will all be included in the workbook that I send to you afterwards. So don't worry if you don't remember everything I say and you're not taking notes. I'm going to send this information to you, but the majority, there's 9 different ways to find a new job, okay? And one of those, number one, let's talk about networking, okay? And it's really the majority of the job vacancies that are out there, they're never advertised, and they're called the hidden job market, right? To land these jobs, job seekers have to find a way to get a foot in the door. All right, networking can go a long way in locating job opportunities, even if no one directly has knowledge of a job opening, okay? There's a chance they know someone who does, okay? So it can be done both in person and online. You can join professional associations, attend events for graduates of your school, or aim to connect with professionals who work in your field. And there's lots of ways to do that. So through online tools such as LinkedIn and Facebook, right? This allows you to network with the other professionals and learn about possible job openings. And I have to say that this is really, really important. Something like 80% of jobs are found through networking. And if you're not networking in your job search, you need to be, okay? So especially now, it's going to be critical in the time that we live in with this pandemic that you are approaching and connecting with recruiters and hiring managers online. And the best way to do that is through LinkedIn, okay, or Facebook, right? So make sure that you look at some of the things we're going to talk about today. I'm also doing a workshop called Job Search in the Digital Age on Wednesday, which talks about the different types of social media platforms a little bit as well. And if you're not utilizing LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, any of those, you need to start looking at that and adding that to your job search, because I'm telling you, that is one of the things that people are lacking. And I usually notice that in their job search. And so you have to start reaching out, especially online. And a lot of the things that we are going to be doing in our job search now is utilizing these digital tools, okay? Virtual job fairs and interviews and things like that. Okay, so next let's talk about referrals. So referrals also come from individuals you know. However, this method may get you an invitation to apply for a position without actually searching for a new job. Some employers offer incentives to their employees for referring a successful candidate to this company, okay? So I don't know if this has ever happened to you. You might have been in a position before, employed, right? And someone has approached you about a different position, okay? This has happened to me. And I actually was recruited to go into a different role back years ago to do something else. And so I was actually working at the time. And they always say, you know, it's easier sometimes to find a job when you have a job. Well, sometimes, just depends. But referrals are really helpful, especially, you know, if you know that person, you already have that connection, which starts with networking. So that's another way. Job boards and career websites. So job boards were traditionally, you know, just posting vacancies and employment opportunities. Though some of these boards still exist in this literal sense, many job boards have moved toward a virtual format. Often federal or state governments will provide job boards and job banks that job seekers can access. You can also use job search engines on the internet or the vast number of career-related websites that post job openings, such as monster.com and Career Builder. All right, so we all know about job boards and career websites, but again, I notice a lot of people utilize probably one or two job search sites when they're doing their search. And you really need to open that up into other sites that you may not be familiar with. And that is partially just having the knowledge of what else is out there, right? So if you're used to using Indeed, let's go try LinkedIn, Career Builder, definitely Work in Texas. Workintexas.com has a really great feature in the fact that they funnel in from third-party job boards as well. So you'll find postings from Career Builder and Monster and USA Jobs on there as well. So that's really, really an awesome feature of workintexas.com. And any staff member at our office can help you set up that account and walk you through it. I also hold a workshop, usually a couple times a month, about making Work in Texas work for you. So please feel free to reach out to us with any questions, but making sure that you're using a variety of job boards is key, okay? Finding ones that work for you. You know, try not to just do one or two because you might be missing a lot out there, okay? So then job fairs. Job fairs are typically targeted toward a specific industry, though, you know, some job fairs or recruitment fairs are more generalized. And guys, I want to mention about virtual job fairs. We have started doing those with Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area here with us. Please just check out our website at workforcesolutionsrca.com, and we'll have you know, any upcoming events that are going on, and especially if you check your workintexas.com page under current month's events, it'll show you if we have any job fairs going on. But virtual job fairs are going to be increasingly popular due to the current situation that's going on. And virtual job fairs are, you know, much like a job fair in person. You have these virtual booths, and you can go on and create a profile, and you can upload a resume, and even sometimes you can have that conversation right then and there or later on that day with an employer. So make sure you're on the lookout for virtual job fairs or Googling virtual job fairs that are happening in your area. But like I said, we have them here with us. We just had one on May 6th, so last week. We'll be having a Veterans Fair on May 27th. And then, we're going to hopefully be having these pretty often. So please check out our website. But job fairs are a great way to touch base with employers also. Company websites. So if you already have your employer that you want to work for in mind, you should go directly to the company website and look for openings. There's a chance that you'll find an opportunity there. So that's one way that you can go and look and do some job search. If you already know, man, I'd really like to work for this company, what kind of opportunities do they have right now? And really try to reach out to them. Okay, so that's one way. Cold calling. So here's another way. If you don't see any job listings posted for a company that you're particularly interested in, you might consider making that cold call. So you can contact them by email or phone. You can contact these individuals in the organization by finding out their contact details on the company website or by inquiring, about them through a receptionist. So you can contact them to find out if they foresee any upcoming vacancies, and be sure to attach a copy of your resume to any emails you send. So that's another way of doing it, trying to touch base that way as well. Headhunters and recruiters. So if you're looking for some professional help in your job search, headhunters or recruitment agencies can lend a hand, though a lot of times they're at a price, guys. So I want you to be aware of that. And there's a lot of other different strategies that you can utilize that you don't have to pay for. But they are out there. And if you're really struggling and you want that help, and you kind of exhausted everything, maybe that's something you do want to look at, but make sure that you've looked at everything that's available to you, free of charge. Come ask us at the Workforce Solutions office if you're needing help in your job search as well. Okay, temping or internships. And this, I want to say, a lot of people kind of don't pay a lot of attention to, but sometimes temporary employment can lead to permanent positions. If you're without work, finding a temporary position with a company is a great way to get a foot in the door, okay? Because a lot of people want to hire internal applicants. So if you can get a temp job and just get your foot in the door, then you kind of have a leg up on the competition, all right? So internships are also a great choice for students who are just graduating from college. And then volunteering can also be a great method for gaining valuable industry contacts. So, see where you can volunteer. I know, again, that we are in the middle of different times, this pandemic, but, seeing what different avenues are out there for you, maybe there are volunteer opportunities, okay, or just temporary part-time jobs, that people might be looking for help for. So go out there and it might lead you to a permanent position. All right, then you have other creative or outlandish tactics, right? So the job market is competitive, right? And in order to move forward, sometimes you have to think of creative methods for drawing attention to yourself. So some people utilize billboards, chain letters, with the copy of their resume attached, or even pasting a resume to yourself and walking around the city as a human billboard. Just saying that there are lots of different creative, outlandish ways to do things, but make sure that you're just utilizing, like I said, as many as possible different avenues that you can go down in order to look for jobs. And if you have any questions about this, like tactics that you've been using, and you want to talk about those, we can address those questions at the end. Okay, so it's important to determine your job target, right? So you're looking for a job. Maybe you've just started on this journey, right? But you have to determine what your job target is. And some people don't know what that is. Maybe they've done the same thing for a long period of time, and now they're unemployed, and maybe they want to get into something different. Or maybe it's something similar, but not exactly the same thing as before. Maybe you don't know, okay? But before you can begin job searching, you have to take an inventory of your skills, interests, personality traits, and values. Guys, this is so essential to understanding where you'll focus your time and energy in your job search. You need to ask yourself these questions. What are your strengths and skills? What do you enjoy doing? What fits your personality, and where can you find kindred spirits? What conditions are important for you at work? I talk a lot about this in my career exploration workshop as well, because a lot of people don't really know where they want to work or what they want to do because they haven't gone through and assessed themselves and really sat down and looked at what their particular strengths are. You know, really stopping and taking that self-inventory. So you have to do that. And I say the easiest way to do it is just sit down and start writing them on a piece of paper. Okay, here are my skills. This is my skill set. What are my strengths? What am I really great at in the jobs that I've performed in the past? But what do I also enjoy? What fits my personality, and what kind of people do I enjoy working with? And then what conditions are important for you at work? So again, what are your values? And so when you write all these down and you have an idea of what they are, this helps you in exploration because you know what kind of job you're looking for. So it's really, really important that you do this first before you set out on your job search. So you can go and do some online assessment. And these are some tools that you can utilize. And they really are, they're beneficial pieces of the job search process. Even if you've decided on a career path, they can assist you in revealing other occupations that are similar that you may never heard of or knew were available in your line of work, okay? And then this helps if you're totally lost and you need to do some career exploration. So workintexas.com is not only a job search tool, but it can also be utilized in career exploration through the use of online assessment tools. The site offers the ability for you to match your skills, values, and interests to identify different careers that suit you. You can do that under the career exploration widget on your dashboard page when you log into workintexas.com. MySkillsMyFuture.org is a site that allows you to explore careers based on jobs you've had in the past and that match your particular skills. MyNextMove.org allows you to search careers by keywords, browse careers by industry, or take an assessment in which you answer questions about the type of work you like to do, okay? And then it matches those results with careers and trainings. So you would just need to visit mynextmove.org/explore/IP to start the ONET Interest Profiler Assessment. And guys, don't worry, you don't have to remember all this again. It's going to be in the workbook that I send you. CareerOneStop.org is where you can explore careers, but you can also take skills and interest assessments. You can identify core work values that are also important to you, okay? The Young Typology test is the Myers-Briggs personality type theory, and it's a free personality assessment online where you can obtain your your 4-letter formula along with strengths and preferences and a description of your personality type. So once you start understanding patterns and looking at your personality type, you're going to say, you know, this seems to be the direction that I'm happy with and what I'm interested in. So let's go check out these careers, right? There may be something that I haven't been aware of that I'd like to do. And then we have ResCare Career Pathways Explorer, or Tradeify. Some of you may have heard of that as Tradeify. Okay, it's a scientifically backed 90-second personality assessment where you receive like an assessment breakdown that describes your personality traits and your top career matches based on your results. Okay, so you basically get these results and it tells you what your personality blend is with your 2 most prominent personality trait categories. So this is really important to do if you're feeling kind of lost and I could go here, I could go there, I have all of these different paths that I could potentially take. Take some of these assessments. They don't take very long and it will really help you with your focus. All right, identifying and researching companies of interest. So once you've done this online assessment, okay, these values and personality and skills inventories, then you can kind of understand, okay, this is where I want to go. Well, what companies really cater towards these interests, right? And there's multiple ways that you can search companies, right? But one of the most important now is social media, okay? Using LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that are out there as much as you can. If you're not that active on social media, again, I do recommend you getting onto, at least one platform. And if I had to suggest a platform, it would probably be LinkedIn. Okay. But you can really get an idea of a company's culture and their values and really what's going on, what they care about by going to their social media pages. What articles do they post? Okay. This is very, very critical. I talk about researching companies when I talk about creating effective resumes and cover letters and how to have an A+ interview, okay? Because you can't go and apply for a job or understand a company unless you've researched it. So a great way to do that, like I said, is through social media. Glassdoor.com, okay? It's another digital tool. And I love Glassdoor because you can look at company information, but you can also look at salary information as well on a lot of different companies and a lot of different types of positions. So that's really important. And we'll kind of talk about labor market information in a little bit more in depth. Online news sources, okay? So you can probably Google anything nowadays, any prominent company, and find out what they're up to. Again, read any new articles, find out what it is they're doing right now in their company. Company website, at the company website, you're probably going to get more of a generic, these are our mission and values, but it's really important to understand what those are. So it's a must to go and check out the company website, of course, before you even write your resume, and definitely before you go into your interview. And then there's Austin Business Journal's Book of Lists and Community Impact Newspaper, things that are local to us. That will really be helpful for you to keep an eye out of what companies are doing what, especially now that so many things are changing in our world, in our communities. It's going to be really important to stay plugged into what's local. So make sure that you check out all of those publishings as well. So understanding labor market trends and in-demand occupation. So labor market information, for those of you that don't know, it's extremely important in the job search process, and it's not really something that is taught very often, okay, but I think it's really important to be educated on because it is a huge part of the job search process. Labor market information is basically data that is collected about employment trends in the workforce and the economy, okay? So that includes occupational outlooks, salary trends, educational and training program needs, okay? And that's just key elements that are part of evaluating this labor market information. Understanding where the field you are in is going, okay, i.e. occupational outlook, whether that is growth or decline, is essential to you as a job seeker. So if you are in a particular industry or occupation and you have researched it, okay, and you find out that it's in decline, meaning there's not a lot of job growth happening, especially where you are, that's important. That's really, really important, because the outlook for the next 5 to 10 years may not be that good. And so there will be more competition for jobs and there will be less jobs, okay? So this may be a time where if you're in a declining occupation, you need to think to yourself, hey, do I need to look into additional training for myself? Do I need to switch careers? And if that's the case, please let me know, because I can hopefully get you connected with one of our WIOA staff, okay? And that stands for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act. And it's a federally funded program at no cost to you. And you have to go through and see if you're eligible. They do have to adhere to eligibility requirements, but you can talk to somebody about your employment goals and what you're wanting to do and see if you're eligible for the program that might offer, certain services for you. So really, really important to understand why you need that information. So having said that, now you need to have a tool to go to in order to access that information. And one of the ones that I really like is workintexas.com. Again, Work in Texas is not just a job search platform. It has a lot of different features for job seekers during their job search, okay? And it has labor market information data specific to your local county area. And that's really important to get information on the local level, right? Because you want to see what's going on where you live. People make moving decisions based on labor market information. So you can go to workintexas.com. If you're not familiar with how to navigate that, you can reach out to me at rachel.white@ruralcapital.net, and I can go through that with you. Also, Rural Capital Headlight. We put out a newsletter. We have a website called ruralcapitalheadlight.com. And again, it's workforce data that is specific to our counties. So that's 9 counties that we work with within the rural capital area. Okay, and that includes Williamson, Hayes, Bastrop, Lee, Fayette, Blanco, Burnett, Llano, okay, and Caldwell. I think I forgot. So it includes a lot of different counties and county information. So you can see what industries are on the rise, how many jobs are being created for this, what's going on. It's important to educate yourself. And then you've got Texas LMCI, Labor Market and Career Information. Again, all of these sites will be in your workbook, so you will have access to them. Then there's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Of course, you've got onetonline.org, but that's more of on a national scale. And so why I recommend workintexas.com and Rural Capital Headlight is because it's local, okay? If you have questions about labor market information, please feel free to ask me at the end when we take questions, and I will help you out with that. Okay. So, using the best internet job boards in your field. We kind of touched on internet job boards a little while ago, but I want to talk about these different ones a little bit. So, like I said, it's essential in the job search process to utilize as many job boards as possible when you're conducting your search. One reason is that some companies only post on a couple of sites, so you may be missing out on certain job postings if you're only sticking to 1 or 2 platforms. And to give you an example, I used to be a recruiter for a company, and we only posted on 3 job search boards, okay? And then the rest of them we didn't. So if the other people were searching on Glassdoor, for example, I was not posting there, so they were never gonna see my opportunity, and vice versa. They were never going to come and look at where I was posting, right? Whether that be on Monster or LinkedIn or whatever. So there's a disconnect. So again, making sure that you utilize as many of these as possible. And then once you find one that's really tailored to your specific needs, you may want to stick with that a little bit more. But it's good to branch out. If you're only using Indeed, I strongly recommend that you branch out. If you're not familiar with how to do workintexas.com job search, please reach out to me and I can help you with that, or anyone at our office can help you with that and how to do the job search from that site. But there's benefits for all of these, and a lot of these, like I said, are not just utilized for job search. LinkedIn, you can use it for networking. Work in Texas, you can access labor market information and career exploration information, among a lot of other things too. Work in Texas has so many features. Monster, they have a lot of articles that are very interesting for job seekers and helpful. Okay, maybe resume help as well. Glassdoor.com, like I said, also gives you access to labor market information. And Indeed and USA Jobs are very popular as well. But like I said, make sure you research multiple sites to see what works for you. Okay, so you may come to the point in your job search where you need to determine if staffing services or recruiters may be helpful. And like I said, be careful about recruiters or headhunters because they may attach a cost, right, to using their services. But staffing services may do that as well, but it might help just to get your foot in the door into a company. So they may be helpful in certain occupations such as manufacturing, right? It just depends. So it might be something worth looking into. Just be careful. It may not be a free of charge service. Okay. As an effective job search strategy, you have to know how to market yourself. It's really important. And I'm not going to get into specifically a lot of resume tips, okay, or interviewing tips in this workshop. Please join me for how to create effective resumes and cover letters and how to have an A+ interview, okay? But it's really important to know these top points, okay? And this is how you're going to market yourself because you're a job seeker and you have to market yourself in a competitive environment, right? So some of the things that you're going to have to do is create a customized resume and cover letter for each job that you're applying for, okay? If you're not sure how to do that, again, join me for my resume workshop. Develop an elevator speech that helps people understand your job target and what you need. We'll go over elevator speeches in just a little bit. Prepare for job fairs, okay? This could be in person or virtual. And like I said, I would really start looking at preparing for virtual interviews, okay? There's a lot of great resources online and on YouTube that you can access for learning how to master your virtual interview, but I also talk about it in how to have an A+ interview. Network, okay? I'm gonna kind of beat this to death because networking is a really important part of the job search process. So you need to think to yourself, what have I been doing in my job search process and what am I not doing? What am I missing? If I'm missing networking and I haven't been doing that, I probably need to start utilizing that resource. If I haven't customized my resumes for the jobs I'm seeking individually, I need to do that, okay? If I don't know how to introduce myself in a networking environment, or if I don't know how to introduce myself and answer the tell me about yourself question in an interview, I need to work on that. Okay, if I don't know how to present myself professionally in a job fair scenario, I need to work on that. So what is it that you need to do? Okay, again, customizing your resume and cover letter. So create a unique resume and cover letter that will work with an applicant tracking system. Customize your resume for each position that you're seeking. Analyze the job posting for skills, keywords, and other important information. Clearly describe past work history in a way that is easily understood. Check grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And use tools like workintexas.com or jobscan.co to compare your resume with a job posting. And all this information, like I said, is in your workbook as well. But workintexas.com can compare your resume and employer requirements. It can offer keywords that are related to occupational codes to increase an ATS score or applicant tracking system score. And there's no cost for using this tool as a registered job seeker for you. Jobscan.co, and it's .co, not .com, is a site. It provides 5 free analysis per month to determine if your resume has an adequate number of keywords that match the job posting. Okay, again, if you don't understand how applicant tracking systems and keywords work, please join me for my resume workshop, okay? Develop an elevator speech. All right, so an elevator speech is this short 30, I would say not even quite 60 seconds of well-crafted introduction with information about who you are and what you have to offer and what sets you apart from others, okay? So this is something that you would share with somebody, like I said, at a job fair or a networking event, or maybe, when you go in and meet with an employer and they say, tell me about yourself, okay? So you have to customize this and write this and know who your audience is. So again, it's gonna look a little bit different based on the context that you're in. Know yourself, make yourself an outline, and finalize it by practicing, okay? So let's look at this example, okay? Say this person is going to a networking meeting, right? And she is in the public relations field. And she says, "Hi, my name is Sarah. It's so nice to meet you. I'm a PR manager with a special focus in overseeing successful initiative launches from beginning to end. Along with my 7 years of professional experience, I recently graduated with my MBA from XYZ University with a focus on customer trust and retention. After this workshop, I'm going to be sending you guys a separate handout that has elevator speech examples. So you'll get multiple different examples of how you could possibly construct this for yourself. You know, hi, my name is Jim. I'm a project manager with years of experience. I'm interested in this, and this is my background. And then maybe at the end, you add something personal, like on the weekends, I enjoy golfing, right? It's going to depend, but you need to make sure that you've done this and practiced this, especially for going into a job fair setting or into an interview. So make sure that you are prepping this and doing this strategy while you're job searching. So you're starting to feel comfortable with saying these things when you get in that networking environment or when you get into that interview environment, okay? And also it will help because you'll be able to kind of introduce yourself on LinkedIn as well. So really important to come up with this really short 30-second elevator speech, okay? So preparing for job fairs, right? And this will really, this will matter both for in-person job fairs and virtual job fairs, okay? So you wanna make sure that you pre-register for the event, okay? And you can do that usually, like I said, for the in-person job fairs and for virtual. Research the companies that are attending. This is a must, okay? Because if you research ahead of time, you already have an idea of who you want to talk with when you're there. And you know about them and you can have this great conversation. Prepare and print your resumes, or prepare and have copies on your computer that you're ready to upload to your virtual profile, okay? Or that you're able to submit to an employer if they request it later on. So be prepared as if you're going into an interview. Dress comfortable yet professional. Practice your elevator pitch. And prepare for potential interview questions. So if you don't know what possible potential interview questions could be coming up, again, I discussed this during my How to Have an A+ interview workshop, but you can get with me if you have questions on that, and we can talk about them. But just Google, common interview questions. And this might include, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Why do you want to work for this company? What are your interests? Things like that. Prepare some of your responses ahead of time, okay? So like I said, going to a job fair is one strategy, but then preparing for a job fair is a whole nother level, okay? And so you will be head and shoulders above most of the people if you're preparing for these things. Preparing for interviews. Practice. And I say practice about 1 million times when I'm giving my interview workshop, because it's so much about practicing, and it takes so much of the fear and anxiety out of the interview part. And this is a really effective job search strategy, because if you're doing it while you're job searching, you're practicing and practicing, and you get to that point where you're invited to do an interview, and it's not going to stress you out as much. So you need to determine how to reinforce your qualifications for the job that you're seeking. Okay, so you think you're a great fit for this job, right? Well, you need to figure out how you're going to reinforce your qualifications. You have to have confidence. If you know you have these skills and qualifications, you have to be confident in them. Practice responses to common interview questions. Like I had just said before, they might ask you things like, tell me about yourself. What are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? How would you deal with a conflict with a coworker? okay? How do you handle stress? All of these things. Be confident about your skills and abilities. Know as much as possible about the company and the position that you're seeking. Super important, like I said at the beginning. You don't want to get into an interview and they ask you, why do you want to work for this company? And you have no idea. You don't know really what they do. You don't know what their mission and values are. You don't know what's important to them. And therefore, you don't really have a mutual connection built with an employer. You can't really get excited a lot about going to work for them or being enthusiastic about working for their company because you don't know much about it. So that is really important in your prep for interviews. Prepare success stories ahead of time using the STAR method or the experience, learn, grow model. Okay, so success stories using these methods are for behavioral-based questions that employers might ask. Behavioral-based questions are being asked a lot by employers now, okay? And those are the ones that I kind of just mentioned. Tell me about yourself. How would you deal with a conflict with a coworker? Things that aren't really based on your skills and your knowledge and what you know, but how you would really fit in with their culture and how you would work in a team environment, okay? So the STAR method and the experience, learn, grow model is basically you're utilizing that for a particular situation that you've encountered in the past in your job, your previous jobs. So they might ask you, tell me about a time when you accomplished a huge task at work or you accomplished the biggest professional goal of your life, right? You need to be thinking of responses to these answers way before the interview happens. If you're not familiar with the STAR method or the experience, learn, grow model, please attend my next How to Have an A+ interview workshop, okay? But you can also Google or use YouTube and find out about the STAR method and the experience, learn, grow model. And they're very, very helpful just, as templates to help you build your answer, okay? So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So think of a situation that you were in. What task, what did you need to do to get it accomplished? And actions, like what did you do? Results, what was the outcome of that scenario? Experience, learn, and grow is what experience did you have, or what was the issue, what was the project you had to work on, what did you have an issue with a customer, what did you learn from that experience, and how did that help you grow and change you for the better to deal with something like this later on. So there's different ways to answer these questions because employers want to know how you are solving a problem or how you're working things out. So you don't want to be in the interview thinking about these things as they're asking them. You want to kind of already have some of these stories constructed. Okay, some of your responses already there. And then notify your references and give them an updated resume. Okay, notify your references that you're applying for jobs and they may be contacted by these employers. Okay, so make sure you kind of have all your ducks in a row for that interview process. Networking for job search success. So I've talked about networking a little bit. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. Okay, it's really, really important, like I've been saying. So surveys indicate that 70% or more, 85%, 70 to 85% of jobs are filled through networking. Many times these are called in the hidden job market, right? Like I was saying. Networking is the best way to find a job because people do business primarily with those they know and like. And, this is what I mean about hiring somebody internal. They are already familiar with who they are. Okay, guys, very important. For job seekers, it's about time. The job search process is about time. How fast can I get a job, right? For employers, it's about risk. Okay, so they're always trying to minimize their risk. And any way that you can do that is going to help, right? So you need to spend more time talking to people and networking as part of that elimination, right? So if you're connecting with recruiters and hiring managers, you're going to stick out to them more than someone that just hands in their application. And again, the job you want may not be advertised. So if you're not talking to people, you may not be finding out about opportunities. And so, but now because of, like I said, the current situation that we're in with the pandemic, a lot of your networking is going to have to happen online, where you're searching for jobs and connecting with people, looking for leads that way. Okay. So here are some networking tips, all right? And these will be in your workbook as well. But make a list of people in your network first. You know, you need to include your family members, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and any acquaintances that you have. If you've never networked before, these will be helpful for you. So figure out what you want before you start. Networking is more effective when you have specific targets and career goals. Okay, this goes back to determining your focus. Reach out to your network. So you need to make contact with your network and be specific about what kind of work you're looking for and ask for any information or if they know anyone in your chosen field. Start with your best references. So these are people who can endorse your abilities and character, but you need to confirm their willingness to be a reference. And like I said, provide them with an updated resume and talking points about yourself. Okay, just maybe having a conversation, oh, you know, and if it's a previous, you know, former coworker, they might be familiar with how you deal with conflict or how you deal with customer service or such and such, you know, have those conversations with them. Focus on building relationships. Networking is building and maintaining relationships. It's not just a transaction. So you need to be authentic and considerate and ask for advice, not a job. You know, you have to build these relationships. Do your homework and be specific on what you're looking for. Evaluate the quality of your network. Review your network strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. Determine if the contact is appropriate or out of date for your current job search. So, you know, it's great to have all kinds of contacts, but definitely be networking with those in the area of the industry that you're looking for a job in. Take advantage of strong and weak ties. So your strong ties are your inner circle, you know, people that you're closest with, and weak ties are less established. So adding new members to your network can invigorate it and open new connections and ideas. Make the process of connecting a priority. Make connecting a habit and make it part of your daily life. This will give you confidence and knowledge of what is happening in the world. So my recommendation is, you know, get on LinkedIn every day and try to connect with somebody. And, you know, again, this is researching companies that you'd like to work for, or hiring managers that you're interested in, and you're going to send them a short little connection message and connect with them. And then you start participating in looking at their articles that they post in their feed, okay? So making it the process of connecting a priority, but being very intentional about it as well. So taking the time to maintain your network. This is as important as building it. Okay, you have to nurture the relationships, and this is what I was talking about, going on other people's feeds, reading their articles, maybe sharing their articles, leaving comments, interacting with them. Find ways to reciprocate. So networking is a two-way street. The goal is to cultivate mutual beneficial relationships. So again, interacting with them, sending them a thank you note, or emailing them an article of interest, being interested in what they're interested in as well. And that's how you cultivate it and build it. And then, you know, just enjoying the networking process. So don't be hurried or in crisis mode. And I know that's really easy to say, you know, easier said than done, but enjoy the networking process and getting to know different people and professionals, you know, especially if you're using LinkedIn and Facebook as a professional platform. Okay, so you want to make sure that you thank them for any referrals and help that you get, and let them know when you've landed a new job. Here are some networking sources of contacts that I'm going to give you, and you're like, well, I don't really know how to network or who to start with. Again, you know, start with people that you know the most, but there's also like alumni organizations and children's contacts if you're part of organizations. Like I said, This is going to be a little bit different now than what we're used to because everything's online and virtual. So connect with these people through some sort of social media platform. Classmates, community job clubs, former employers, friends, even if they're out of town, hobby groups, members of clubs, members of church, military friends, neighbors, participants of trade shows or seminars or other workshops you've attended. By the way, I would love to connect with everybody on LinkedIn today. So if you're okay with that, let me know at the end. Other professionals, attorneys, accountants, doctors, relatives, other services and groups, and then volunteer activities. So that's where you can start. Let's talk briefly about networking strategies for introverts. And so I get this, and some people are like, well, that's great, except I'm really uncomfortable networking because I just don't feel like I'm that kind of person. And I totally understand that. Personally, I was not always very socially outgoing. It's something that I really learned and became comfortable with over time. So you have to practice it, okay? And fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, networking is a huge part of the job search process nowadays, like I said, to be competitive. So you're going to have to practice and become a part of it. So determine your reason for connecting. Some people have to find this real reason for connecting, and not just saying for a job or an opportunity, but maybe, you want to build those new relationships. What's important to you for connecting? You're going to have to learn to be comfortable with small talk. Okay. Small talk is vital in making any type of connection. Comment on something similar to both of you. So this is really helpful if you're trying to do this on social media like LinkedIn or Facebook. Try to find something or some way that you can connect with somebody based on what they like and what you like, your interests. Schedule your time, take time to recharge. And this is really important. A lot of introverts get exhausted easily from having these types of interactions, okay, just socially. And I do know people like that. And so it may just be more important how you organize your time and know that, I'm going to go to this networking meeting, or I'm going to spend some time networking online. And I just know that after this, I'm going to need to recharge, and I'm going to have to do these things before I can go out and network again. So just, be kind to yourself and realize that it's a process and that it's something that you can learn to do. And then plan as best you can for the next networking event. So if you're an introvert and you just feel nervous about it, try to be as prepared as possible. Get to learn as much about that situation as you can beforehand. So you might be able to find out who will be attending the event that you're going to, and you can target who you want to meet. You can ask for an introduction from the host or from your friend. Prepare conversation starters. So maybe you have to think of some of those ahead of time if it doesn't come naturally to you just from starting a conversation. And this is really important as well for introverts. If it's hard to think on the fly and you get nervous, prepare that elevator speech. Arrive early. It may be easier to meet people before a lot of people get there. Seek out others who are alone. And I know this appeals more towards in-person, but again, you can also arrive early to other events like virtual job fair events and get a lot of information ahead of time, okay? Wear your professional hat and not your job seeker hat. You're there to meet people and build relationships, not just to find a job, okay? And then follow up later with people you met for deeper discussions. I actually had a conversation with someone who went to a networking event, and it took her about a month there. And she was really nervous about it because she's not, as comfortable striking up those small talk conversations. And she had such a great time, and she actually connected with somebody, and she ended up going to lunch with them, and they now are, really good connections for each other. And so it's like, she really conquered that and was able to build those connections. But the only way you do that is if you get out there and go for it. Okay. So networking on social media, it's a crucial piece of the job search process. Very crucial. And 90% of employers are using social media for hiring. And this is really important to understand because we're going to talk about how to appear professional on Facebook. And you may be investigated by an employer or recruiter before you even know it. And it's really important to have a professional profile, okay? So it also provides an opportunity for job seekers to research company openings on the other end. So it goes both ways, right? They can research you, you can research them. You can connect with professionals and recruiters, hiring managers of interest throughout the country and the world. You're able to strengthen chances of getting hired by reaching out to recruiters on social media networking sites. So with LinkedIn, we're going to watch a video shortly about connecting with recruiters on LinkedIn. So let's talk about LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, okay? So LinkedIn is one of the best ways to build a network professionally, okay? There's networking groups for people of the same interests and occupation as you. You can connect with people you know, but people you don't know, that's really important. You want to connect with people you don't know as well. So you're going to have to go out and research your interest, okay, and see and then connect with them. You can research and follow organizations of interest, and you can also search for and apply for jobs by title, keyword, and company names on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn as a job search site, just like Work in Texas. I think it's really great. Facebook. So make sure you don't overlook your network there, okay? It may be that it offers more possibilities than you thought, okay? People who know you personally are more likely to help you, and it's important, though, that you adapt your privacy settings for professional use. If you think that Facebook is not out there for people to see, you're wrong, okay? Unless you have it totally and completely private. But people can go in and look at your profile and see your action that you've taken on those sites, all of the things that you've posted. So there are some tips in your workbook about getting your Facebook profile job search ready. Okay, so like updating your privacy settings and completing your profile to reflect all professional information, making sure you use Facebook lists to categorize your friends. And if somebody you think is going to sabotage your job search or they're not going to be a good thing for you, you may need to unfriend them, okay? Because you need to shift your mindset of making it a more professional platform than personal, okay? So there are a bunch of tips in your workbook about that as well, and talking about staying professional at all times, and go back and cleaning it up. If there are things on there that you would not want an employer to see, go back and clean it up. Twitter. Twitter is a social media microblogging site where you can write tweets that are visible to anyone. The reason that it's effective is your ability to choose who you want to strategically follow and listen to. So, you know, a lot of people don't think Twitter is a really good platform for job search, but there is an article that is referenced in your workbook about 11 tips that you can use for using this social network within your job search strategy. Because you can follow headhunters and internal recruiters. You can use search tools to listen for opportunities. You can follow people in your field. You can use Twitter to tell people that you need a job. You can retweet strategically, you know, to other people's posts. Attract attention from influencers. Ask about jobs directly. Mention your search casually from time to time. So there's things that you can do on this site as well to network. So let's look at this video by JT O'Donnell from Work It Daily on how to connect with recruiters on LinkedIn.
Welcome back. Today I'm going to be answering a question from one of our readers about how to reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. This is actually a really popular question that we get a lot. So I'm going to walk you through the 3 steps that you can take in order to effectively reach out and connect with those recruiters on LinkedIn. We actually teach this strategy to all of our members inside Work.It, and it's helped so many of them build out their networks and actually get conversations going with companies that they dream of working for. And you can do this too. So let's dig in and get started. So step 1 is to study the recruiter's profile. It's really important that you try to understand something about this recruiter so that when you reach out, it's not going to be blind. You want to take a look at the profile and figure out maybe they went to the same school as you, or maybe you studied the same subjects, maybe you volunteer for the same organization, or you've worked at the same company before. If you spend enough time on a recruiter's profile, you're probably going to find some point of commonality. And you're going to want to use this in the next step, which is to reach out to them via LinkedIn's connection request. So step 2 is drafting your 300-character connection request. Now there's actually 2 ways you can reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. One way is using something called an in-mail credit, and they give you a few of these with your account. And what it allows you to do is send an email to somebody that you're not connected to within the system. The problem with that is that you lose the in-mail credit if they don't respond to you. And also, some studies find that people just don't respond to those as well as they do a short and concise connection request. So connection requests are a much better option for you because they're unlimited. You can connect with as many people as accept. And it gives you a chance to really be concise as you reach out to that recruiter. Now, the important thing I want you to remember is that this is not the time for asking for something. They haven't even agreed to connect with you yet. So you want to keep this short and sweet. And you want to use that information that you gained while researching the recruiter on their profile. A great example of this might be something like, "Dear Brent, we haven't met, but your profile came up when I was researching XYZ Corp. I see that we went to the same university. Can we connect? I'd love to learn more about your work." This is short, it shows that you took the time to research them, and gives a clear reason of intent as to why you want to connect. Now, all you need to do is have them connect, and then we can move on to step 3. So step 3 is all about following up with the recruiter with a question about how you can make their job easier. What do I mean by that? Well, again, the mistake that a lot of people make is dive right into, "Will you consider me for the job?" And that feels really kind of over the top and in your face. In this case, I think it's better to approach it more conservatively. You might say something like this: "Thank you for accepting my connection request. I see that you recently posted a job for a project manager, and I thought that I might be a fit for the role. However, I know that you've probably gotten a lot of applicants. And so I was curious as to what's most important to you when considering a candidate for this type of position. I would really welcome your feedback and insight so that I can better prepare myself to potentially earn an opportunity to interview with you someday." See how that's much more polite? It's asking them for their expertise. It's asking them what they are looking for so their job would be easier in terms of matching. Conveying that kind of tactfulness and politeness is really important because this is essentially your first real interaction with this recruiter, and it's going to dramatically increase the chances that they get back to you and maybe even consider you for the position. So one thing I do want to note is if the recruiter doesn't respond to your connection request or your follow-up email, I really think it's best to just let it go. You may want to just keep pursuing them and feel like once I get in front of them, they'll really see how great I am. But in my experience, if they haven't followed up with you, there's likely a reason. And also, I've known recruiters who felt that candidates were too aggressive with excessive follow-up and have blacklisted them from ever being able to work at the organization. Now, the good news is they're not the only person that works there. And really, the goal should be to try to meet as many people as you can at a company, so when the time comes, you can ask them for advice on how to get in front of the hiring manager. That's, in fact, one of the techniques that we teach our Work.It members, and it's really helped them to go around the applicant tracking system and really get in front of the right people at the right time. In fact, if you'd like to learn a lot more about job search and how it's changed and how there are a lot of roadblocks that are shutting you out from the hiring process, I encourage you to check out our free webinar. You'll find the link up here or down below in the description. It's going to walk you through the 8 ways you're likely being shut out and you didn't even know it. And it's super helpful. It's helped thousands of people sort of move forward in their job search and feel better about their ability to get those job interviews. In the end, if you want a recruiter to connect with you on LinkedIn, it comes down to smart strategy and research. I will also tell you that it helps to have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile so then when they skim the profile and check you out, they're more inclined to accept that connection request and engage in a conversation with you. Which leads to my final point. If you want help landing a new job, then I strongly encourage you to check out our Work It Daily subscriptions. You can check out the link up above and down below. We are a career growth club that is helping thousands of people land their dream jobs at amazing companies, and you can do the same. When you join our program, you get access to over 200 hours of cutting-edge video tutorials that will help you with every aspect of your job search, including your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your cover letter, your interview prep, and so much more. But better still, you'll also get access to our career growth experts. These are trained professionals who will work with one-on-one via chat in order to make sure that all these tools look amazing and that you're on track and motivated with your job search. And lastly, you're going to be part of an incredible community of like-minded professionals where you're going to be able to expand your network and stay motivated and have fun on a daily basis. You know that we always love to hear from you. So if you liked today's video, please hit the like button. And then, of course, go share a comment below about what was most helpful. And if you
Okay, guys, so that was JT O'Donnell, and she is with Work It Daily, and it is a great resource. If you go to workitdaily.com, a lot of free resources about LinkedIn and resume writing and interviewing tips. And like I said, really harnessing online tools is going to be helpful to you right now. So I'm always available if you have questions, but go out and see what is out there in order to help you, and workitdaily.com is really great. So that's just a short, brief talk about how to connect with recruiters on LinkedIn. And so just sending them a short connection message and taking an interest, and you'll be able to connect with them. That's how you would go about that. So another strategy that is really important, but people don't really think about it too much because it's so simple, is phone and email etiquette. And I mention this because, you know, it's about 35% of employers say that they have problems with people and their phone and email etiquette. Okay, and that ranges from everything of not having their voicemail turned on to inappropriate voicemail messages or email addresses. So it's really important that you get all of this in line for your job search. Okay, so having a professional voicemail greeting. Okay, making sure your voicemail is not full. You know, I've called people sometimes and it says, "I'm sorry, this mailbox is full." So unless they go back and they just dial back the number that was just that had just called them, they're not going to know what it was about or who it was. So especially when you're job searching, you should have all of these things taken care of. Make sure you return calls within 24 hours. I would say less than that if you're able to, especially if it's from an employer who wants to set up an interview. Use a professional email address, okay, something maybe like first name, last name with some numbers, but make sure it's not like your birth year, okay, so they can't possibly look at that and say, oh, you know, so on and so forth, you know, I can tell this person was born in whatever year, if that makes a difference. But first and last name at gmail.com. Create a professional email signature, okay? This would include your first and last name, possibly your LinkedIn URL as well, and then your phone number where you can be contacted and an email address. Make sure you proofread and spell check each message. Okay, so let's talk finally about developing a job search plan and a tracking system. So you want to develop a weekly job search plan to stay on track, and that's really important because when you're in the job search process and you're not working an 8-to-5 job or, you know, a full-time job, you kind of get, you can get relaxed or procrastinate because you feel like you have all of this time, right? And so a way to keep yourself on track and not get distracted is for you to have, you know, whether that's a weekly calendar on your computer or on your phone, or that you have this list, this graph of where you're going to make a weekly job search plan, however it's going to work for you. You know, maybe you have to put it on a big whiteboard in your room. Some people utilize that tactic, okay? However that's going to make you successful, you need to map out your plan for that. Create a job search tracking system that keeps you organized, okay? So a job search tracking system, it can be really easy to be overloaded nowadays with all of the documents that you send on the computer, all of the things that you have to keep track of, like resumes and applications and cover letters and references. So my biggest suggestion on that would be to create folders within your computer, okay? So make a folder of XYZ company, and when you apply or you do anything with them, make sure you store all of that information within a folder, okay? So your application you submit have a copy of that. The job description, very important to copy and paste the job description or save a copy to your computer and put it in that, because you're going to want to review the job description before you go into your interview. Make sure you put your cover letter and your customized resume that you submitted to that company, because if they call you for an interview, you're going to want to print out extra copies of your resume to bring with you. And you don't want to bring a different resume than the one you submitted, right? Because we're customizing it per the job. So make sure that's a great way to stay organized, okay? Or you might need to keep a little book or notepad with the company's name and what you submitted, you know, however it's going to work for you. This is more of just encouraging you to get your own process into place, because I don't want to tell you one way and then this other way works better for you, because we all learn and we all remember differently. But this is just something I'm suggesting, okay? So when you're looking at this job search plan, consider what is your job target, right? We talk about determining your focus, determining your job target at the beginning. Okay, what do I need to do in order to move forward and kind of progress throughout my job search? So let's say you make a chart for this week and you're going to have 5 goals that you're going to accomplish this week in terms of your job search. You're going to map it out and break it down. Okay, I'm going to update my resume. I'm going to attend a workshop. I'm going to learn how to write a reference list, you know, so on and so forth. What are the steps that, or the tasks that you have to complete in order to get that done? What resources are you going to need to get that done? Make a due date for yourself. So today is Monday. Is your due date going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay, Tuesday? What's it going to be? Because if you lock yourself into those goals, it helps you stay really disciplined. Any comments or follow-up that you need to make, all right? And then maybe, you know, you reward yourself. Even little steps should be rewarded because you're making small steps toward a bigger goal. So if you accomplish something, then maybe you do something to reward yourself, okay? And that is really a great motivator to keep going, okay? And the second example down here is an example of a tracking system and how you could put it in maybe in an Excel spreadsheet, or you could even create a table in Microsoft Word, or you could do this on paper, okay? This is the company that I reached out to or I applied for, this position, here's the contact, here's the date I sent these materials, like my application, my resume, all of that. Did I submit all resume, cover letter? What did I do? You know, what is the action or follow-up that I need to take? And then again, store those files on your computer and back them up. And maybe you need to save them in 2 places. Maybe you need to save them on your computer and your phone. Okay, or maybe you need to have hard copies printed and on your computer. But that is really, really important, you guys, because once you apply for a job, it's really easy to get disorganized because of all of the things you've submitted online and you can't remember. So apply for something, keep it straight, okay, file it away, and then move on. That's just really the best tactic that I can say to use for online job searching. And it's going to be very prevalent as we move forward, okay, because job search online is not going away. In fact, it's going to become even more prevalent, all right? So make sure, most of all in your strategies, that you are persistent and you keep going, because remember, the more no's you get, the closer you get to a yes. So that's really important to keep in mind and not get discouraged. And like I said, to utilize as many strategies as possible throughout your search. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for joining me today. And I will take any questions that everybody has.